Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary, Ashton. And this is our Friday night Smackdown review. And I gotta say, excellent SmackDown to me. Great talking segments tonight. The show really seemed focused on furthering Extreme Rules and building that pay-per-view up. We've even already gotten a tease for Survivor Series. We know the rumors have been that Survivor Series will be a Mania-level show this year. It'll be very interesting what that kind of Survivor Series will look like. We only have a few months to go. And the draft will be even sooner than that, so we'll see. Not a lot of matches on this SmackDown, and I think the matches that were on it were anywhere from fun to really just harmless. I don't think there was anything overly malicious or tedious on this show. Even the Dominic matchup, I think, had some interesting narrative progression depending on how you look at this storyline. So overall, big fan of tonight's show. Ashton, what do you think of it?
Yeah, I would say that it was definitely a really solid show. There are a couple of things that I do have problems with, and we will talk about them. I'm a little surprised that you said that you didn't really feel like there was anything malicious on the show because I definitely got that vibe at the very end of the show, but we'll talk about that when we get to it.
All right, let us get into our first segment. Heat of the night. I got nothing. Floor is yours.
What the fuck was that at the end of the show? Why the fuck did Bianca not get the KOD and Becky hits another fucking rock bottom? And then not only does she hit it, but Bianca recovers from it almost instantly, whereas it was a 3 count at SummerSlam.
Right, because we know that the forearm upside the head kind of preceded that. And I know you've been going with was that it was loaded with something, and you wish WWE would jump on that narrative
Yeah.
because now it's like, oh, Bianca recovered so quickly, so make it make sense, kind of thing for you.
Right. So here's what I'm basically doing by making this a heat of the night. I am taking the WWE at their face value because, in my experience, and this is very much something that Paul and I see very much eye to eye on. If you just try and say, oh, the bad thing happened now, so that when the good thing happens later, it's that much better feeling, and then the good thing never comes, you've wasted all this time having expectations for something that never happened. So for me to just be like, oh, Becky got the upper hand tonight because Bianca's winning the title back at Extreme Rules, I feel like even though that might be a common mentality coming out of tonight, it's also ignorant to just assume that WWE is going to do that when they have a history of having shit like this happen and then the good thing never comes.
Right.
So, living in the moment, knowing that the WWE has done literally nothing to even hint that the wrist pad was loaded, and knowing that it's no guarantee that Becky is getting the fucking leg up on Bianca at every goddamn turn of this feud because Bianca's going to win the title back. There's no evidence pointing towards that. There's no real hints of it. There's no reason to believe it'll happen unless you're just hopeful. That has to be a heat of the night for me because it makes no fucking sense for them to just keep continuously making Bianca look bad. They had her lose in 26 seconds at SummerSlam to 2 moves. One of the moves she managed to recover from in about 5 seconds tonight, maybe. I mean, literally, as soon as Becky hit it, she rolled off of one of her shoulders immediately. So it was like, oh, she definitely could have kicked out of that if Becky would have pinned her in a match. Why didn't she at SummerSlam? And then the fact that, again, this was supposed to be like a Bianca night. Like, Bianca, literally, fucking Kane came out, gave Bianca the key to the township, and it still ended up being a Becky stands tall segment. I don't understand what they're going for here. And maybe in a couple weeks when Extreme Rules happens, I'll understand better and I'll be more appreciative. But for now, I just hate it.
Not even a couple weeks. Remember, we got to remember it's a week from Sunday. So yeah, not that much further now. We'll get to see this matchup.
Well, when I say a couple weeks from now, I mean like the episode of TWitWoW covering the SmackDown that happens immediately following Extreme Rules.
That makes sense. So yeah, you guys already know how I feel like they should have orchestrated Becky's heel turn at SummerSlam. They should have actually like done a match and then the heel spot with like the title or whatever. So I'm not going to belabor this point. Do you have anything else you want to air out in this segment?
No, not really. I mean, I could complain about Dominic Mysterio still getting TV time when Naomi's entire storyline is that she can't get a match to save her life. But I feel like I would just be repetitive at this point. We've complained about it enough, so let's move on.
All right, let's get into our Friday night SmackDown review, and we open with a recap, particularly of the Edge Seth Rollins matchup from last week, which would lead into an amazing promo later in the night, but we'll get to that. And then we officially open up, as we always do, with the Bloodline, baby. Roman Reigns on the mic. What do you think about this, man?
I mean, I don't really feel like there's all that much to say here. I feel like it was pretty succinct. I feel like Roman basically didn't even talk that much. I feel like Heyman did most of the talking here, and Heyman basically just said Finn and Brock both fear Roman Reigns. Finn fears Roman because he has to, channel the demon in order to even stand a chance against Roman. Brock fears Roman because of the fact that he has to play the mind games, and you never really see that, and he saw fear in his eyes, and he's never seen that before. And yeah, that was pretty much the extent of the promo, as far as I can remember. At least I might be missing some details.
No, I think you got the essentials of it. Big E comes out, he parades around with his newly won WWE Championship, and you love to see it. Gets in Roman's face, then Balor's music hits, he comes out, and then this turns into a tag team match, Balor and Big E versus the Usos. I mean, you got 4 quality workers in there. You're going to get a fun match. That's what it was. I love the finish with the coup de grace and big ending in stereo, with Big E getting the winning pin. And Big E was over with this crowd. I mean, they chanted, "You deserve it," when he came out, interrupting the talking segment.
Yeah, he did.
And then I think they popped for both him and Finn winning the match as a team. So great night for Big E. I mean, in character, it got a bit rougher in a later segment, but just the performer, great to be so received. He's got to be having the week of his life right now.
Yeah.
And it's well deserved.
Absolutely.
So Reigns and Heyman watching this backstage. Heyman seems like he's going to leave 10 to business. Reigns calls him back, and they pretty much rehash the same thing. Did you know that Brock was going to be SummerSlam? No, my tribal chief. Then it dovetails into, how come? Or, like, is he going to be at Extreme Rules? Because Heyman goes into this whole thing about how, Brock fears Roman Reigns, like he said out in the ring. And then when Roman asked him, is he going to be at Extreme Rules? Heyman just quickly says, "Of course not." And Roman looks at him. He's like, "How do you know?" And then Paul, he's so flustered because he's thinking, finally he's got a foothold in this whole thing. Roman trips him up again, and he's like, well, my tribal chief, he was afraid of me. I just can't imagine that he'd be at Extreme Rules. And Roman more or less is like, I don't pay you to suppose or to imagine or what have you. I pay you to know. Pay you to, really know these things, have your ear on the ground. And so Roman wants more definitive information. He wants to know, is Brock going to be at Extreme Rules? Because we know that the Crown Jewel event, which, TWitWoW will be giving up its tradition of not covering those shows because fuck the Saudi deal.
Yes.
We are doing Roman
Fuck
Reigns
the Saudi
versus
government
Brock Lesnar.
specifically.
Absolutely. Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar. Will the Universal title be on the line? I'm not going to act like it's a foregone question because honestly, who knows with WWE. But yeah, that whole match has been made for Crown Jewel. So I guess Roman wants to know if Brock's going to get a piece of him at Extreme Rules. That aside, we get Boogs versus Rude. Not much to say here. Boogs wins again, and he looks good doing it. Crowd seems really into him. I mean, again, if this dude came around in the 80s, he would be a multi-time world champion. There's no fucking doubt in my mind. He really is like a golden age type wrestler with his look and his gimmick and everything else to me. We'll see how far he goes in this era, but he's jamming out with Nakamura after the match, and Apollo and Aziz attack, and Apollo says, "This is your king."
That was a great line. I loved the delivery on that line. Don't get me wrong, the line itself is good, but the delivery was so great.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with you. Apollo, that's why I wish they would have given him a better shake as IC champion during his run, because you could tell, he really has put effort into making this work, and I think Aziz and him are a great pair. It's a good package. So I think we can expect Apollo versus Nakamura at Extreme Rules, which I'll tell you something, if I had a nitpick, actually thinking back, I don't like that we haven't gotten any stip matches yet for a pay-per-view called Extreme Rules. That just does really not sit right with me. I don't think we've gotten one gimmick match to my knowledge. Now, of course, I don't watch Raw, so if anybody wants to chime in and correct me, please do so. I don't really care about, my opinions. I care about being right. But my understanding is no stips so far. I don't expect this match to get a stipulation because they haven't really had that kind of animosity. In fact, it seems more believable that Liv and Carmella would get one, but we'll get to that later. But yeah, Apollo versus Nakamura should be a good in-ring matchup. Then we get Kevin Owens being interviewed backstage, and God, I love Kevin, talking. He's just such a fun promo to me.
Yeah, this was a fun promo, too. I wish we would have gotten this match tonight, actually.
Yeah, I gotta be honest, I loved his energy here, and this is the first time I've said this because I've been very vocal how much I love babyface Kevin, but the energy of this promo really made me miss when Kevin was toxic and rationalized all of his actions for his family. Because it just had a similar energy to me about how Corbin disgusts him, and that when he's done with him he's gonna be sad Corbin because he's gonna turn that smile upside down, but you're gonna get something even better, and you know what that is? Happy Kevin. And I'm like, ooh yeah, Kevin, talk your shit. So obviously, to your point, the match doesn't even happen because Happy Corbin gets the jump on Kevin. Very interesting that we haven't seen Happy Corbin formally compete yet in a match. So I wonder what that's about, and I wonder what the payoff of that is going to be. But that remains to be seen. Then we get Paul Heyman and Kayla backstage. Paul Heyman actually uses the term sapiosexual to Kayla, which actually caught me by surprise. He says you have this sapiosexual attraction to my intellect because Kayla says, now here's the interesting thing, her sources, quote unquote, say that Brock Lesnar is going to be drafted to Raw in the draft. I would be seeing, this is where I'm conflicted because obviously Big E deserves his run. I'm not trying to take anything away from E. The dude's busted his ass. He's a part of one of the most over acts in the company, and I think as an individual, he's considerably over. But, WWE must hate Bobby Lashley or something because he just lost the title, and now you're talking about Brock going to Raw. The one match Lashley has wanted is Lesnar. He has said that in every interview. He said that at every corner. Now, I know some people have kind of, cooled off on Lashley because he might be like a Trump supporter or whatever. Personally, I don't care about that. Obviously, I do.
Dude, let's not forget the one match that Nakamura wanted when he signed with WWE was fucking Bryan, and he never got that either. So I don't know what it is with WWE being like, oh, you want those matches? Yeah, no. I think they like to dangle those matches over the performers' heads to keep them around longer.
Yeah, and I hate it. I'm just going to say I hate it. Regardless of how you feel about a performer personally, and God knows I've had many opinions personally about performers, and I've aired them on here. If you do your job well, which we do try and focus on in this podcast here, and Lashley, I think, has been. He was a great WWE champion. Maybe the reign went on a little long, but that's not his fault. And I think what he was given, he did really well with.
Yeah.
I think he should be rewarded with the damn Lesnar match. And every time, it's oh, we're two ships passing in the night. So that kind of irked me a little bit. I'm not going to lie. But Heyman, brushes off Kayla again, runs into Big E again. But Big E, no menacing laughter this time. He's got his gold. And Heyman says, congratulations. Of all the people on SmackDown to become the champion, you did it. You were the one. All that stuff. You were the one. And, and he said you made a smart decision because you never would have succeeded cashing in on Roman Reigns. So you went for, a more vulnerable champion because, of course, Lashley already had the match with Orton and everything. Big E promotes Survivor Series. He says, oh, we'll see if you're saying that about your boy at Survivor Series, or will your boy be Brock Lesnar, or will the champion be, Finn Balor? And Big E's just talking about his options when he gets assaulted by the Usos.
Dude, that initial super kick from off screen actually got me to jump. That was surprising and kind of scary.
Yeah, dude, that was some impact. That was nasty. They really put a hurting on E here.
Yeah.
I love that Roman Reigns doesn't even look at Big E. He just walks past the carnage.
Yep. Did you see? I don't know if you caught this, but they actually did advertise on this show. Monday Night Raw this coming week is going to feature the Bloodline versus the New Day.
Yeah, dude, I did see that. Should be some fun matches there, or a fun match there. And yeah, I'm excited to see what they do with that. I'm also thinking at this rate, we may very well get Usos versus New Day, Raw Tag Champs versus SmackDown Tag Champs at this Survivor Series. And you've got two of the most compelling matches.
Well, doesn't every Survivor Series feature a match like that, though?
I mean, yeah, but I'm talking about the New Day and Usos specifically being the champions. Is what I'm saying, 'cause they're
Oh,
doing the
I
whole
see what you're
six-man
saying.
teams.
Okay, yeah, I could definitely
Yeah,
believe that. That would be really cool. I mean, we've already seen those two teams feud on SmackDown for just the
yeah.
SmackDown Tag Titles, and it was great. They were great against each other. That feud lasted forever. We got that awesome Hell in a Cell match. Like, yeah, that was great stuff.
Only problem is right now RK Bro are the tag champions, but I
Right.
mean it's
So the New
still
Day would
like
have to win them from them.
September.
That seems a little unlikely, actually. I mean, I
It
could
does, yeah.
see it, but I just feel like WWE loves the RK Bro brand, and they want to really kind of keep them pushed.
Absolutely. So we'll have to see. I mean, whoever RK Bro would face, I mean, if it would be the Usos, that would be an interesting matchup too. But yeah, I am kind of hoping that the New Day win it, and
Dude,
that's
I'm not
something I
gonna
never
lie. I
thought
feel
I'd
like if
say.
that happened, RK Bro would fucking win, and I would hate it.
Yeah, yeah, you're probably not wrong because you know RK out of nowhere and all that. But yeah, I very curious to see how everything for Survivor is going to shake out, and then we get easily my favorite segment of the night,
Seth.
and I'm not going to turn up about it and be whatever because I did all that on Twitter and the Discord. But before I give my thoughts, I've been kind of barreling through this review. What did you think about this promo?
It was really, really good, honestly. I don't normally like to give credit to Seth because it feeds your worst tendencies, but this was a really great promo by Seth. His delivery was great. His reasoning was even great. Blaming the fans for egging Edge on, making fun of him when Edge poured the black goo on him, making fun of him when Edge called him Edge Light, chanting it and stuff like that. It was really, really, really compelling heel work. And I just have to commend Seth for the promo, and now I'm going to let you go.
Yeah, I really have nothing. Like I said, I did all my worst tendencies on Twitter and the Discord. So really, all I want to say here, guys, is that which you guys should subscribe to for $3 a month if you haven't. But all I want to say here is that it made sense. Like literally, like I want to paint a picture for you guys. Go back to SummerSlam when we did our preview and predictions. I had said, and I know for a fact I said this, that I thought Seth Edge was going to go the Triple H HBK route from SummerSlam 02 in their unsanctioned street fight. The babyface would win. In 2002, it was Michaels. Here, obviously, it was Edge. But the heel would do the dastardly vile thing and be leaving on their own power. You know, Triple H took the hammer to Michaels' back and he left. Seth, I thought, would do the curb stomp and he'd leave. This was so much better, though, because he beats Edge in Madison Square Garden, and he makes the point, and this is all I wanted him to say, legitimately. It was a legal maneuver in a sanctioned match. He didn't even beat him down when the match was over. Everything he did in the confines of that match was, and he said this too, he's been doing for years. This isn't even like, we got to understand too, this isn't even like Randy Orton's punt. You know what I mean? Especially when he first started using it in 07, where it's like, oh, God, you know, that bastard. It's never been made the same deal out of.
Right.
And he did it. And in this one case, it was really bad, which makes the reasoning that you had touched on before I came in with the other half that much stronger. Because, well, I've been doing this for years. So if it's not me, then Edge must be the problem. And more importantly, the people enabling, even though I don't think he used this word, that's how I take it, enabling Edge is the problem. This was a solid heel promo. This is a heel promo that doesn't necessarily tell the truth, like we hate, you know, Alexa Bliss and all that stuff for,
Right.
but it still walks that line enough where even if it's not truth, it's compelling enough where it gives you pause and it says, am I the reason this happened? And if you can do that, I think this is one of the best promos WWE has had this year. And I think Seth, and again, this isn't me turning up or whatever, I am being very sincere. I think Seth is one of the best performers in WWE right now. And like Sean and I were talking about it in the Discord, having our own little like side conversation in the midst of like the whole live wrestling discussion. And he even said, like, I think Seth Rollins is as good as Seth Rollins as Roman Reigns is Roman Reigns, which I took him to mean this is the best Seth Rollins has been in any iteration of Seth Rollins. And I agree to them. I think I've only enjoyed Seth this much when he initially turned face and he was kind of finding his footing after Triple H betrayed him, all the way up to when he became IC champion and had that title run where he was really a workhorse with the title. Because I love that arc. And then unfortunately when he became Universal Champion, all kind of fell apart, but that's beside the point. But here, this might even be better than that. Like, because there is just, and energy with Seth right now. If Roman wasn't running the show, Seth, I think, would be an amazing Universal
John.
Champion.
Is this a
Sure.
potential promo of the year contender for you?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Because, dude, and again, I'm speaking to you with sincerity. I think it's so rare that you get a heel promo that's compelling without ever once, in my opinion at least, being bombastic or hyperbolic. I think it was a very grounded heel promo that never lost, to be a bit redundant, its sense of sense. It never became insensible to me. Like, everything he said, I'm like, if we're being honest with ourselves, that tracks. And so, yeah, this was quality work from a quality man. And yes, Foster, we can absolutely make that the name of my finisher. And if Roman Reigns was not the champion, Seth Rollins would be an amazing Universal Champion for this brand right now. In fact, I almost have to wonder, we're talking about the draft, if maybe Seth shouldn't go to Raw, because as long as Roman Reigns is SmackDown, I think I even made a remark that I look at Roman Reigns now as The Undertaker was back then, where SmackDown is just his brand. Like, he's the guardian of it in a way. It's funny, too, because I think it was Sean Ross Sapp or somebody that said, I feel like Roman Reigns' entrance is as long as The Undertaker's now.
And good, because it should be.
Exactly. But I almost wonder if Seth should go to Raw, because he's really not getting, in my mind, the opportunity he deserves to be the guy on that show. I would say he's one of the guys, but I'd like him to have the world title to go with it. I think him and Big E could do a lot of fun stuff. So I don't know how I feel, especially given that I even said that I think Seth is my favorite wrestler in wrestling, not named Starlight Kid right now. So I don't know what I want to happen with him, but I'm loving the ride all the way. And the important thing here, just so that we can kind of circle back and move on to our next segment, he does challenge Edge to another match. Because he wants to know Edge is down for good.
Yep.
And I love it. I love it.
He also basically implied that if Edge doesn't accept another match with him, he's going to go to Edge's house and beat the shit out of him in front of his wife and kids.
Mood. So, yeah, I think after that, we get, oddly enough, a Becky Lynch promo, and Becky more or less just being like, I've never been to a homecoming. I've never been to one of these, and tonight's Bianca's night, but I might check it out. So Bianca, of course, or excuse me, Becky is teasing what's going to happen later.
Yeah.
And then a Toni Storm appears. I know a lot of people have been waiting for her to get on TV. Liv Morgan and Toni Storm face Carmella and Zelina Vega. God, I'm in this weird place where I love Liv so much. I'm rooting for her to be the 2022 Women's Royal Rumble winner. Like, I'd love for them to build her up to that point. Although, who even freaking knows? With the way Naomi's being built, I'd love that as a winner, too.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, Carmella, though.
Dude,
God.
Honestly, I regret not making this a heat of the night, or at least a nitpick, because this is the match that got kicked off of last week's 9/11 special. And it was like, there was so much hubbub about it getting cut. And then we get it, and it ends in a disqualification or in a count out because Carmella can't take a fucking bump. What?
Yeah, like, now granted, they didn't go this route because of a segment later that's like, okay, they're not doing this. But to me, my immediate thought was, and I even said this in the Discord, I'm like, wait, are we really running back the whole Mandy Rose Saturday thing? Because at least I understood that, and I even low-key defended that, as you know, because I know it's like, these people think this dropkick's dangerous, and NXT's just leaning into it, and they're kind of owning it, and it's like, well, if you're going to be that ignorant, that's not our problem, we might as well capitalize on it. But this just seems so much worse to me.
Dude, there was a big part of me that was like, Carmella, you really complained about not getting this match last week, and then you're going to just walk out of it tonight? Apparently, this match didn't mean nearly as much to you as you claimed it did. And this arguably even applies to Zelina, too, because her character also complained about this match being scrapped last week. And she was literally trying to console Carmella during the 10 count. Girl, she's your partner. Grab her by the collar and waist and throw her back in the fucking ring so you don't lose.
Yeah, that's another thing that's kind of perplexing to me. I don't understand this dynamic. And I'm going to try... I'm going to try and speak about this from the perspective of characters and not let my own bias seep through, because I do like Zelina, both as a performer and as a person. But Zelina, as a character, her whole thing, right, is like, I am the moment. So why are you playing second to somebody else? Especially somebody that, unlike you, and I don't mean that in like an antagonistic way, but like has been women's champion, has gotten the big matches that you want.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, and then plus, like, Carmella's going around calling herself the most beautiful woman in WWE, and Zelina literally just agrees with her, rather than being like, wait a minute, look at me, hello?
I wouldn't even mind the agreement if there was a little bit of subtlety there, like maybe an eye roll preceding it or something.
Like, oh, yeah, totally,
wasn't.
Carmella, yeah, you're the best, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, you're the greatest. But, like, none of that.
No.
And it's
just
like,
sincere.
wait a minute.
Yep, you totally are.
And, you know, like, it's also they put themselves in a corner because obviously Zelina and Carmella are heels. So, like, you know, if Zelina was to compete last week, even though I think she should have, she would have gotten probably a babyface pop because people know her story.
Well, yeah, that's what frustrates me so much is that, like, they got cut last week on the show where it would have had actual sentimental value for Zelina to be on the show. Like, even if you wanted to cut this match in general, you don't just not have Zelina Vega be on the fucking 9/11 show. And then they're on tonight's show where it's so much less meaningful and it has this dud of a finish. I hate it, man. I really do. I hate the way this match was handled both this week and last week.
The only, I'll say interesting because I don't want to say good because I'm just going to be real with you all. I don't care for Carmella. It's actually funny that I feel like she's regressed for me. I feel like people were too hard on her when she was SmackDown Women's Champion, which again, like I think so much was happening around her, but in the ring I felt like she was solid and stuff. But this, I just feel so disconnected from this. Like I just, you know, I feel like I even defended her and like we kind of defended her back then. It's like, oh, this and that. But we feel like she was and probably still is, to be fair, a better worker than Charlotte. But here, it's just like, I feel like I don't like it. But Liv does challenge Carmella to a match at Extreme Rules. And I did like Liv's line here, where she's going to make her just as ugly on the outside as she is on the inside.
Yep.
Pretty basic line, but good delivery.
Dude, that's the thing. The delivery, Liv's delivery is really good. And I even mentioned in the Discord, she really is like, and I think this is something that I've kind of thought internally since probably the tail end of her NXT run. Liv Morgan reminds me of Mila Kunis. Like her promo delivery and stuff remind me of Mila Kunis's line delivery in her movies.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
She kind of looks a little bit like her in the face, like different color eyes and stuff, but like Liv just straight up reminds me of Mila Kunis in a lot of ways. And like her voice, her promo delivery, her look a little bit less, but still some. Yeah, like it's kind of wild actually that I just had that realization tonight that that's who it was. Because I've like literally, like I said, since the tail end of Liv's NXT run, I've had this weird feeling of like familiarity with her, like I've seen her or like I recognize her or she's familiar to me in some way. And then just tonight I'm like, oh my god, it's Mila fucking Kunis that she reminds me of this whole time. And it's like, yeah, oh my god, yeah, she really, really does. Like the more I think about it, like her line delivery is so spot on with Mila Kunis's, it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny you make that parallel because the more I reflect on it, the more I see it too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm happy for Liv, and I'm happy for the women generally that you're getting a match on a pay-per-view that has nothing to do with the championship. And the idea that Liv is a part of that, like that's the positive I'm focusing on, right? Because again, I want her to be the 2022 Women's Royal Rumble winner. And maybe I'm not going to say this is the start of the build, but even again, just her being on a pay-per-view without a championship involved, I want to just embrace that and be positive about that. So that's where my focus is going to be. Hopefully she wins, though, because then if Carmella wins, I'm just going to be like, oh, so we'll see. And again, we already get like a thing backstage later. I'm just going to talk about that now so we don't talk about it later when it actually comes up that, Carmella's like, oh, her nose is fine, everyone, for those that cared. All 0 of you. But she's like, I can't believe Liv tried to make me a 5 like her. And it's like, oh, God. And she's like, oh, that's fine. She can have her match at Extreme Rules. But then Zelina says she's got to go through me first, implying that we're probably going to get Liv versus Zelina next week, which I'm cool with. That should be a fun matchup. But yeah, that all happens.
Dude, if Liv Zelina would get some real time, that could be a real banger.
Yeah, see, that should be
because those two women can
work.
Matchup. Yeah, it would be nice.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So then we get a Street Profits promo. Really nothing special here. They're just kind of hyping themselves up, and Bianca Belair, her homecoming tonight. Good stuff. I know they're not done with the Usos. I don't even know if they're getting a rematch for the tag titles at Extreme Rules. Would not surprise me if they did. Then another talking segment, vignette type thing that I really liked. Finn Balor Saga of the Demon. What did you think of this?
Was this the one with the amazing transition?
Yes.
Oh my God, that was so fucking cool. Finn talked about how the fire inside of him burns brighter than any of the fire around him, and how the face you're looking at right now is Finn Balor, the challenger, and that the face that you'll see on Sunday is the Demon, the champion, the Universal Champion. And then we get this awesome transition from Finn's face, and then it's like it burns away into the Demon's face. It was awesome. This was like one of the best cinematic moments in WWE history, honestly. Not even lying. Not even exaggerating, I don't think. This was just great. It was a small little thing, but it was epic.
I just want to tack on to you because I think you said all that perfectly. I personally loved how they kind of demythologized the Demon here. And instead, he really kind of grounded it, and he said, the Demon comes inside of me. It's a manifestation of everybody that told me no. It's a manifestation of every time someone's disrespected me. Because he says, I'm not supposed to be here. Unlike Roman Reigns, I wasn't born into this business. I was born to a family of railroad workers. And so he makes it kind of this synthesis of passion, pride, and working class. He's like, this is the life I chose, to be a wrestler. This is what I chose. And the Demon, I don't summon the Demon summons me. And so I love the direction he took the Demon, because when we first saw, and I'm not talking even about NXT, I'm keeping it to the main roster, when he was leading up to the match with Seth Rollins at that one SummerSlam, I want to say back in 2016, it seemed like it had more mythological undertones. They did Irish mythology and stuff like that. It was fine. I think they did some cool visuals for that. But I actually prefer this. I prefer that it actually happens all within the interiority, the inner world of Finn Balor. I think there's something powerful about that to me that's more resonant than, we're just trying to do an Undertaker light or something like that. I'm all for supernatural characters. I fucking love The Fiend, obviously, when he was around. But I can also love stuff like this, where sometimes we create things, or hell, even if you want to go there, maybe you could even see that the Demon is kind of a dissociation that Balor has to do to get through the hardship sometimes of being a pro wrestler, of people overlooking you, of people thinking that you're the underdog in a fight. It's fascinating to me. So I really love this. Then we get another great moment tonight. I'm telling you, a lot of people that you wouldn't expect to have great talking segments really did great. Naomi putting Sonya Deville in her place. What did you think about this, man? Because I think you and I both popped for this.
Dude, I swear to God, if this ends up being the first segment that leads to her turning heel, I am going to be so fucking pissed. Because this is not Naomi being a heel. This is Naomi knowing her goddamn worth. But I know for a fucking fact that Vince and his ilk are going to see it as a heelish thing to do.
I'm not so sure, man. Because I think if you take all of these together rather than this one segment in isolation, if this was the first segment, which wouldn't even make any sense given what she said, but say this was the first time they interacted, then maybe, because it's well, why would she be, and some of the white wrestling fans too, you just know, they'd be well, why is she being so aggressive? Or they use that term uppity, I know WWE used to use that in promos.
Yep.
Oh, why is she being so uppity with Sonya? But when you take it in its full context, it's no, Sonya very clearly has been treating Naomi like an afterthought, like a second-rate performer, because she puts her, to say she's on the back burner is to say that she even has a place. She doesn't get any place in Sonya's thoughts. And Naomi, I love when she tells her, I've been here longer than you and I've done more than you. Both of which are true.
Yeah.
And she's if anyone doesn't deserve to be here, it's she told her to her face, dude. To her face. Yeah, I'm more or less, I'm better than you.
Yeah.
So this is bullshit. And we can't help but be
yup.
Yeah. Yeah, that's 100% right. Holy shit. No, this was great. It's funny because, again, and I want to make this clear. I do think Naomi, as a kind of nepotistic heel running with, her husband and her family, whatever, would be interesting. I do stand by that. But I also understand when you get segments like this why people are so desperate to keep Naomi a babyface. And the problem is, and I have said this, and Ashton said this, they never really gave her a chance as a babyface.
Yeah.
Like, she can talk like this, and she can also be and by the way, we have to remember, she's talking like this to an authoritative figure that's a heel, that is undervaluing her, that is disrespecting her. And she could spread positivity to other people that have known that disrespect or even automated themselves because they just have no sense of self-worth or esteem. Like, that's a babyface you want to push. That's why I think Bianca's working so fucking well right now. And we'll get to her in just a second. And yeah, like, they just never really went with it. And you know what's funny? I feel like a babyface like Naomi is needed more than ever because I'll tell you, the mental health was already a big problem in this country before COVID. After COVID, if you're not thinking mental health is in a national emergency, I don't know what to tell you. And, like, I feel like somebody that's all about, you know, being good to people, believing in yourself, and on that cliched way, standing up for yourself like we saw her do beautifully here, that's somebody you want to get behind. So I understand why Naomi should still be a babyface and why people love her as a babyface. I just want to see her on TV, and unfortunately, I do agree with you that it could be as a heel, even though she was 1,000% in the right here. And I will say, if you are right about this, which I'm tentative about,
yeah,
I will still be behind her all the way, and I know you will be too, and I know our chat will be too. Like, this was the best talking she's done in her career because it was honest. I don't think it felt forced to her. I think she really believed what she said, and that's important. So, one of the best segments of the night, easily. Dominic versus Sami Zayn. Sami is everything. Is there anything else that needs to be said? There you go. I will say I do find it interesting that Ray is kind of imposing himself on Dominic in his matches here because it seems like Dominic keeps telling him, like, oh, you know, stay in the back, and Ray's the one that isn't listening. So it'd be fucking fascinating to me because I know everything has to go through Vince. Does he have like 2% self-awareness that boomers are the problem? And he's like allocating it to this storyline. I have to wonder. And Sami tells Ray to his face, I'm loving people saying things to faces. I can really, both literally and figuratively, because I can really get behind this, actually. And he says, I'm 3-0. Like, he's not on my level. You're not the coach you thought you were. Oh, you love it. Oh, God, you love it so much. So that was great. And then we get Bianca Belair's homecoming. I think you already talked about the main points in the heat of the night segment. I just want to add, it was so wonderful seeing Bianca be so fucking over in Knoxville. That was fucking incredible to witness. I mean, the EST signs, the chants, the idea that she led the crowd in that sing-along. Wow, her power in this city. That was great. That was fucking great. Could have done without Glenn, but, you know, nitpick there. And that's more or less Smackdown. Is there anything you want to add?
No, sir, I do not have anything to add at all. Are you good?
I'm good, so let's get to our next segment, high spots and low shots. My low shot, who do I want to go with? You know, my low shot is Rude, because the Dirty Dogs have both now been embarrassed by Rick.
Yep.
Boogs!
You know what?
You'll love to see it.
I'm going to give my honorary low shot to Zelina Vega, because Zelina Vega was part of the losing team that lost because her partner was scared she broke her nose, and then it turned out she didn't, and she's too fucking vain to care about the match. But my actual low shot kills me to do this, but it's got to go to Bianca Belair, man. This was supposed to be her night. She got given the key to Knox County. She got to celebrate with her people, and it all got rained on by Becky fucking Lynch. And of course, the normal thing that would happen in these scenarios is Bianca would get her in a KOD, hit her with it, and go home happy. But no, it's the man. So she has to escape the KOD, duck an arm, duck a forearm or a lariat or whatever the hell Bianca was going for, and then hit her with the rock bottom and leave and get her music played to close the night out when it was supposed to be Bianca's night. So Bianca has to be my low shot tonight, and it kills me that they did that to her.
Hey, completely understandable on all counts, friend. High spot's very easy for me. Actually, no, you know what? I'm not going to take that just in case you want to take them. But if you don't, I'll kind of add in that it'll be honorary high spot for me. So actual high spot for now, Seth Rollins.
Oh,
I mean,
okay,
to be
good.
both to be both in the right and to cut the promo of your career, amazing. Amazing. So yeah, easy high spot.
It's interesting to me that you said them, because the only person that I'm even considering to make my high spot tonight is Finn Balor.
Well, that's why I wanted to leave him for you, because I was ready to make him an honorary high spot, but I didn't want to be greedy.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's Balor. I mean, the coolest moment of the entire show by far, and really the coolest moment on any WWE show since, what, Money in the Bank last year? I don't fucking know.
Yeah, and he won a tag match tonight with the WWE champion. So, good stuff.
Absolutely.
Had a strong night tonight.
Yep.
All right. With that said, guys, this has been Friday Night Smackdown. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my co-word and commentary, Ashton. Guys, be sure to like the video as you file out. The more likes you leave, the more likely we are to be the top search result for Friday Night Smackdown reviews on YouTube. And when you do the best of what you do, the top is the only place to belong. So please leave that like, subscribe, and click the bell icon so you never again miss any of that TWitWoW goodness. Check out everything we're involved in the description box, including the TWitWoW Patreon. The two things I always like to plug: additional Q&A questions for $1. Q&A will be September 30th this month. We do every Q&A every month, the last Thursday of the month. So that is September 30th this month, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Non-Patreon donors only get 3 questions. If you donate the $1, though, you get a total of 5 questions. I, however, would just donate $3 to the Patreon, so you get the additional questions, but you also get access to the TWitWoW Discord. A great Discord, channels to talk about pretty much everything from sports to anime, everything in between. There is also a Q&A channel. Very easy to submit your questions there. I'd say that's one of the easiest places. The other being my my pinned tweet. You can follow me on Twitter at John_TwitWoW. And again, pinned tweet would be to collect Q&A questions, so submit them there. Ashton is at Ashton_TwitWoW. His pinned tweet is usually the TwitWoW schedule for the month. He's been transitioning to moving. He's been going through some real life stuff. So I guess that's why he hasn't gotten the new schedule up. But, we've been pretty good about letting you guys know. So most immediately, guys, tomorrow, it begins. All of you New Japan fans, the G1 Climax. A Block, 7 p.m. tomorrow. We're live reacting to every A Block match. Should be good, though, because A Block's actually the good block this year, whereas B Block was like, wait, G1's happening? Hold on, give me 2 minutes to get something together. And then we got what we got. So, yeah, A Block Saturday. And then I'm guessing, are we doing B Block Sunday then?
Yes, we
just
are.
Kind of round out the weekend. What time?
Have it at 5, just because it doesn't really matter on Sundays. It doesn't, as long as you get your time, we're good.
Yeah, exactly. So 5's fine. That works for me. I'll be curious how many, because I know we even agreed that there are some B Block matches we will be skipping. So it's going to be interesting to see how that works out. And yeah, A Block, obviously we're going to do every match because we just really think that block is stacked. So the good block is happening tomorrow at 7 p.m. guys. We hope to see you there. And yeah, that rounds out the weekend. And then yeah, pretty soon we'll be, preview predicting Extreme Rules and live reacting to that. So be on the lookout for that. And yeah, G1 starts tomorrow. So until then, guys, be good to yourselves, be good to each other. Until then, tune in. Peace out.